Welcome, it's denome. In this video, we're going to talk about World War III because I think it is already happening and I already know who is winning as well. And in this video, I will also talk about, as the World War III continues, how you can actually make money from the situation as well. So the World War III is probably not what you think. So let me actually pull all of these things together and show you what's going on. So as you know, we have a war in Ukraine against Russia. And that is a very, very bad situation in Ukraine. And we know that the West is basically supporting Ukraine, while the China and Russia and the BRICS countries are basically supporting Russia. So that's the situation there. Then we have the situation with Israel and Gaza. So as you know, Israel is basically the foothold for USA in the Arab world. So they have the state, which is the for the Jews, and for now Israel is basically attacking the Gaza, and they basically want to have an area here for themselves. So that's a situation there, but we also have situations all around this region here. So what is the common factor? The common factor is that all of these countries, Ukraine, it is a very important country for trade between Europe and Asia. So as you can see, Ukraine is part of nearby the Black Sea. Ukraine also has the gas lines going under Ukraine, basically from Russia to Europe. So it is a key country for Europe economy as well. And when we take a look at Israel, this is also another key country, because if USA can control Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Egypt, these kind of countries, that makes global trade easier, more favorable for Europe. I don't exactly know why USA is in these countries, but for Europe, these are very, very critical, because if, let's say, Egypt turns against Europe, that means that all of the travel from Asia to Europe no longer happens. And the same goes for Iran. So when we take a look at Iran, you can see that it's close to the Arabian Sea here. And then from Iran, you can go to Russia, you can go to Georgia, you can go to Azerbaijan, but you can also go to Turkey. So this is very important point in the world, Iran. So now let's take a look at some of the things that have happened just within basically the last week. So when we take a look at Israel actually conducted an airstrike in Syria against Iran's top generals. And this was a huge deal for Iran, because consulates are protected by international law. So they are basically Iran's sovereign soil where this airstrike happened. So Israel, I'm not going to go into all of what Israel wants, but it is a major component of these escalations. And Iran is quite far from Israel, but Syria is right here. So Israel made a strike against Syria, and basically when Iran wants to retaliate, and just 4 hours ago, US is now saying that it is not expecting to be drawn into a full-out war, but just predicts an attack by Iran against Israel. And we saw, I don't know if you saw, but I saw the tanks moving and rockets moving from Iran closer to the border. So I'm guessing Syria is going to be another hot zone, and also Iran is going to be a hot zone as well. So this is very important, because when we just take a look at this this map and we take a look at these countries which we're talking about Egypt, Iran, even Saudi Arabia, Ethiopia, United Arab Emirates. What is common with these countries? The common thing with these countries is that all of these countries are also BRICS countries. So when we take a look at BRICS countries, BRICS, first of all, what is BRICS? This is the most important thing to know about BRICS. BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And when we track their GDP, which is basically how much money flows within each country per year, you can see the absolute economic growth of BRICS countries. So in 2020 was the crux point. After 2020, BRICS has had higher GDP share than G7 countries, which include United States, UK, Japan, Canada, and so on and so forth. So anyway, BRICS is gaining more ground here economically, and that is their goal. They want to establish more and more power, obviously, but the West is unfortunately for West losing power against the BRICS countries. And when we take a look at BRICS countries right now, you can see here, obviously China is the biggest one, then we have India, Russia, Brazil, and South Africa. But the new countries that have already joined is Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Iran, Ethiopia, and Egypt as well. So again, when we go to the map here, you can see Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Iran, United Arab Emirates, and Ethiopia here. So I'm guessing Somalia will be a hot zone soon, and Yemen as well. So all in all, if let's say BRICS countries can basically dictate this area of world map, they can pretty much dictate the supply lines that go to Europe and from Europe to Asia. And this will give them a lot of economic power, and they can basically dictate the prices in Europe pretty much because they own or control this land area here between Asia and Europe. So this is why we are seeing proxy wars all through basically this border zone here, as well as we're seeing a lot of economic warfare between countries in this area as well. As you know, there are a lot of sanctions against Russia, but there are sanctions against all of these countries here from the West because they want to control this area. And also, just again, a week ago, EU actually sent a lot of their top politicians, even the president of EU was there just a week ago. So they want to fast track financial aid to Egypt. So in this package, they want to basically give $8 billion of financial assistance to Egypt. And again, obviously the reason is that Egypt is a major important hub for trade between Europe and Asia. So this is the key factor here. So Egypt is basically playing both sides here. They're playing for Europe, but also playing for BRICS. And in my opinion, World War III will not escalate into direct war between these major countries. It is mostly a proxy war in this region. So whoever controls this region here, they will basically be able to dictate global trade. So that is the key point here, global trade. So World War III, in my opinion, is mostly an economic war, but also a proxy war. So that is World War III, in my opinion. And right now, I think this is already happening and has been happening for a long time already. So now let's go back to what BRICS wants, basically. So for BRICS countries, one key thing is obviously gold. And I will talk about other things very soon. But gold, if you know world history, the world has been in a gold standard, then fiat standard, back to gold standard, back to fiat, back to gold, back to fiat, back to gold, back to fiat. And the reason is that when money is backed by gold, you cannot really inflate money. And whenever you inflate money, eventually that leads to hyperinflation. And when we have hyperinflation, for people to have trust again, they want to accumulate gold. So just in 1944, we were actually in gold standard. And that was the Bretton Woods agreement. But in 1971, we came out of the gold standard. And after that, we have been in the fiat standard, which means that we can inflate monetary supplies, basically unlimitedly. And that eventually leads to hyperinflation. At least every single time we have had a fiat standard, it always leads to hyperinflation. And this is why BRICS countries have actually been accumulating gold year after year after year after year after year for 30 years now. And that's why also we've seen gold increase in price. So what BRICS countries want to do is they want to actually get away from the US dollar backed world trade, and they also want to increase their own currencies, obviously, but they've been talking about creating their own currency. And right now we don't know if that's going to be backed by gold or if it's going to be another fiat currency. But what we do know is that these countries have been accumulating gold. And that's very, very important. And gold will have more and more power in the future simply because these countries have more and more economic power in the world. So that's a trend that will continue to grow because these countries' populations, BRICS countries like India and so on, their population keeps growing, and the population is actually shrinking in Europe and in USA because there's not enough births in those countries. The generations are becoming older and older and older, so the economic power will continue to shift towards BRICS countries and the rest of the world as well, like Africa, which has increasing populations as well. So obviously, gold will have a thing here. But another key thing is when we actually take a look at some key trends that are happening in BRICS countries as well. One of the places where you can actually follow this is SPN Forum, which is a similar forum like the Davos Forum or the World Economic Forum. But this is for BRICS plus countries. So not only BRICS countries, but some other countries are invited here as well. And take a look at this. The key points for 2024 for this event, which is in May, so less than 3 weeks from now, cross-border finance, fintech, and blockchain. They are not talking about gold here. So when we actually go down and we take a look at the event here, you have the welcoming event, nothing interesting here, some partying. But then day one, they're talking about import, export, and logistics, innovation and tourism. And now this is interesting, Web3 gaming, basically meaning crypto gaming. So I think this is interesting that these countries are focusing on Web3 gaming. So obviously this is a trend that will continue to grow if these countries are backing it, basically. Then sustainable energy, AI business, obviously inclusivity with women, but then again, interesting point, blockchain and economic shifts. So this is another key point here. We're talking about blockchain technology, not only gold, but blockchain as well, and then basically the final day for partying again. So that's this event here. And just 4 days ago, we got this news from China that China's largest funds, two of them, Harvest Fund and Southern Fund, have actually now applied for a Bitcoin ETF in Hong Kong. And this just shows that these countries or people in these countries want to have Bitcoin. And the great thing about Bitcoin is that Bitcoin is decentralized and it is suitable for global trade. With gold, you have to physically move it from place to place, but with Bitcoin, you can trust the decentralized network. And for Bitcoin, it is not politically charged because it is decentralized all over the world. And as we've seen, the West wants Bitcoin, but also we can currently see that the East also wants Bitcoin. So this is a major point in basically how you can make money from this trend. If you own houses or apartments or land in Europe, that may actually go down in price if the population is shrinking, as well as if they are landlocked from trade. So you're taking a lot of risk if you own land or houses in Europe. Also Europe and the Western world, I don't know why, but they are very hostile against farming, against production. So they are basically hindering their own growth, and that's also why BRICS countries will probably continue to grow. And because BRICS countries want to get out of the US dollar standard, people are looking for alternatives. We don't know if it's gold yet, if it's going to be yuan, or if it's going to be Russian ruble, which I don't think it's going to happen. I think with the world, as the escalations continue, they want to still obviously want to trade, but what currency will be used for that trade, I don't know if it's going to be Bitcoin, but what I do know is more and more investment is going into Bitcoin and crypto as well. So that's basically how you can make money from this trend here. So obviously, in my opinion, Europe is losing right now. They are losing their power in this region. Also, USA is losing power in this region. Like when Biden got to office, they had to retreat from Afghanistan, and now even Ukraine has been losing ground against Russia again. And we're talking about Ukraine having manpower shortages and ammo and weapons shortages, and just now Europe and USA are ramping up their production on weapons and so on. So it looks to me that this trend will continue to grow as time goes on. So all in all, when we pull all of these things together, World War III is already happening silently. And the hot key zones is obviously Egypt here. We're talking about Israel, Syria, Iran, Saudi Arabia. But another key hot zones to look for is obviously Somalia and Yemen as well. And another point, just 1 month ago, Mexico actually announced that they also want to be part of BRICS as well. And Mexico obviously is very close to USA, so that's gonna be creating some tensions in that region as well. And Brazil is already there, and Argentina applied for it, but now that Javier Milei is the president, I think they paused that application. I don't know what's going to happen with Argentina, but all in all, many countries seem to actually want to play both sides as much as they can, obviously for their self-benefit. But when we talk about all of these things together, obviously we can see that escalations keep escalating, but people still want to trade. And gold and Bitcoin seem to be the winners in whatever happens, basically, in my opinion. So that's basically the money-making opportunity is gold and Bitcoin and crypto as well. So that's basically my my summary of all of it. We could take a look at the BRICS summit, which happens in October, but we don't really have the agenda for this one yet. So unfortunately, we don't know about it much. But Russia is the president of BRICS as of now. So obviously they want to get the BRICS countries to basically support their war effort against Ukraine. And there's situations in Africa as well, and so on and so forth. So all in all, World War III is happening. It is real. It is economic warfare as well as proxy warfare between West and the BRICS countries. And it's interesting to see how things continue going forward. Anyway, if you like this kind of content, consider subscribing, and thank you for everybody who is already subscribing to my channel, and consider liking this video, and I will see you on the next video as well. Thanks and bye bye.